If a person were to speak to you about anger and remorse and all these things, they would say, oh, yes, those are emotions. But instantly they would draw upon the world's knowledge to define biblical things or spiritual things. That's never going to work. You cannot use man's wisdom to define spiritual things. It won't work. And I tell you, the insight the Lord offers is so much more than the world could ever offer. But people are falling for the game, the trick. It's almost like choosing it. If somebody came to you and said, well, we're all in this together. Pick your side. Pick your side of what side you're going to fight for. What would you do? What would the average person do? They would pick a side, right? If somebody came up and told you about your own loyalties and then tell you about what you owe, right? Motivate you by way of those loyalties. Would you even, see, with me, I wouldn't pick a side because I will not play the game. And that makes people angry. I don't play the game. With most people, they say pick a side, and people freely pick a side. And they become a part of somebody else when they pick that side, and they like how it feels to be totally accepted. It's recruitment. There is a recruitment process that is almost flawless for people. But they're being recruited into something they did not build. But people blindly and willingly get on one side or the other, promoting that the other die. The game changes the minds and the hearts of those who play it. And the end result is one side hopes that the other dies. That same thing happens in politics. What is the one thing they never do in politics? Anybody know? What's the one thing they never do in politics? What is the one thing they do? They don't ever say, let us reason together. That's not what they say. They want their side to be right, and the other side is always wrong. Have you noticed that? Every time they give a speech, it is against the other side. And it's funny because it wasn't like that in the beginning. You know what I'm telling you is this. Because we've had a time of peace so long, men have targeted men again. Every time nations start targeting each other within, a great horror comes across the face of the earth. Every single time, without fail. Every single time. And you know what? We're back there again. We're doing it again. The Republican-Democrat thing has gone too far. Too many people have died in a war you don't know about. You know what's worse than killing a person physically? Killing their future. Killing their hope. That's what's worse. And in my eyes, evil, working for evil or against evil is simply evil. Not one side. Not one side will dedicate themselves to anything concerning Christ. They'll get the evangelical vote by saying what they need to say to get the vote behind closed doors. You're about to learn of what they've been doing secretly. It was only a matter of time before somebody made the big mistake of having open communication. It was only a matter of time before people came forward with recordings, the laughter and the jokes about you, how you're maneuvered. Well, that day has come. A massive embarrassment for a great many who did what they did. And you know what makes it worse? I know that many of you may be Democrats, right? I used to be a conservative. I would consider myself a conservative. Anybody who's taken political science, you know why. I couldn't be. I don't believe in certain ideologies. right, regarding government and people and liberalism. I don't. I believe in conservatism. But it seems in this day and age, even that is being controlled by thugs on the outside. I'm telling you what I know. I've seen too many threat letters. People sweating, fearful to go home, saying anything they can say in front of the cameras to appease hate groups out there who just laugh it up because they can work people like puppets. And it seems like everybody has turned into a puppet, which is why they change their views so quickly based upon specific groups on the outside, not you. They don't care what you want. They want their families to survive and they want their income to continue to go forward. You may not know this, but their income was threatened. What would you do if your income was threatened? If your entire lifestyle was threatened? And all you had to do was say a couple words and you'd be okay? You see, they've gotten to the point now where new groups are coming up, which will expose the old groups. But it's still not going to fix the problem. Turning somebody in is not going to fix the problem. Getting rid of those who do things with children is not going to fix the problem. And it doesn't matter to me who you are. When you start abusing children in specific ways, you're less than less. And there's too many of that up there. That's what a certain cyber party or cyber group has been after, to expose that. But I think that people took it in the wrong direction, and now when they're about to see the truth, a lot of shame will be everywhere. But that's going to cause a destabilization event in America. America's day, a day of reckoning, is quickly approaching. We'll get through it, yes. But I'm telling you now, it's going to be painful. There are going to be external people to put pressure on America to change things like you've never seen things change before. And it's coming. But you know what? Here's part of the goodness of it. If you were to ever learn, because I did this a couple times, that the person you're serving is in fact a serpent, you'll be free of that serpent. You'll be free. Be very free of that serpent. But you won't be free so long. You'll be somewhat cursed serving a serpent. In other words, there are people out there that are doing some things they shouldn't do, and they love doing it. And when you find out they actually love doing it, you can be free of that. You'll be much more effective in what you're doing because the Lord called all of us as ambassadors to the kingdom. Our prayer is, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And the Lord said we can't serve two masters. We're going to love one and hate the other. Within all of us, right, there's a way about us to have one master, not two masters. We can have two individuals and then we're split. If we do that, we're double-minded and split, which makes us powerless. And the Lord does not want you powerless. Even in the Bible, as we go into the deep studies, you're going to learn that even with Israel, when Israel did what we're doing now, that's why they were overcome with so many problems. That's why ultimately they were kicked out of their own land. Why? Because they were weakened through iniquities that were taught through generations that many of the children who grew up to be adults did not know about. Some of them had no idea why they were being exiled, but the Lord fixed it. He got rid of all those. The Lord will do this. He got rid of all those who had been a thorn in the side, right? Or I shouldn't say that because people have mixed that up with Paul, he got rid of all of those priests who believed in their own ideologies of religion rather than his. Because he said clearly the priests had stopped listening to him. And they began to do things to promote themselves. They began to do things, right, that they thought the people needed, but in doing so, they stopped hearing the voice of the Lord. The Lord said they weren't listening to him, and so as a consequence, they were exiled. And even now, there's an indignation within the Lord that he will bring to pass very shortly. That's why the weather phenomena you're about to see is going to be highly unusual, extreme.